Does meditation play any part in this?
Meditation?
Mhm.
Of course, I can answer that, of course. But let's see. Yes, because meditation is the practice of getting out of your own way. Meditation is the practice, if it is done in the right way, to say, I'm just here today. I'm just here today. I'm not here to tell you, God, how things are. I'm just here today. Just here today. You heard the story of the day Stephanie did meditate in front of the dying plant, right? And it came alive, began to thrive, at least for a short period of time, you see. But then, because there was a lot of chaos in the family, that is to say, between Stephanie and the man that had asked to take her hand, there was a drop in the energy and the plant began to die again, you see, because the plants are very sensitive to love, you see. And love is when you just see something and you say, well, you're a very beautiful leaf today. You're a very beautiful lump of clay. You're a very beautiful woman today. You're a very beautiful man. The way you take the hand of that little boy. You're a very happy child when you laugh and play. That's all you have to say. You don't have to say, well, I have to compare you to all the other women or all the other men or all the other children. I have to decide where I put you. Steph used to say, and I use her as an example today, because she's my friend, you see, and you're all my friends. But she trusts on me to an extent that is rare to see. And she used to say, if you take all the people in the world and you line them up in a big circle, according to some criteria like their height, or the color of their skin, or the shape of their nose, or whatever, you would never find a bright line. You would never find the place where you could say, well, this one is tall. All the ones on this side are tall, and all the ones on this side are short. All the ones on this side are black. All the ones on this side are yellow. All the ones on this side are brown, etc. Do you hear what I'm saying today? There is no point of demarcation between my children, you see. And there is no point of demarcation between me and my reality. I am you, and you are me, and we are a synergy. And yet I am me, and you are you, because you are a unique part of me, you see. And I am the trust on a core reality. So if you trust on me enough to say, I'll get out of the way today, God, and let you play, because I think that you can do it better than me today, then I'll say, thank you, dear, because I have a lot of practice, you see, in operating the physical form, because I am the hand and the glove. I am the soul energy. That is SOLE. I am the soul energy of the universe. And you are the souls, SOULS, that energize me. Without you, I could not be the energy of the universe. And without me, you could not be energized enough to see reality. I cannot explain this to you in a more succinct way. You just have to understand it, that you are part of me and I am always with you. I am always with you. But if you are afraid of me, that is to say, if you have an ego, and when I use the word ego, I am talking about fear, pure and simple. Because once you let go of the fear, you will be pure and simple. You see? And you will just say, hey, what a nice hat today. Hey, you want to go for a walk today? I'm going to go work in the garden today. Or I want to write a book today, or draw a picture. Or I just like to play with the children in the playground. Or maybe I'll rock the baby today. Everything you do is a trust on reality, and everything you fear is a trust on nothing, you see. So don't make reality disappear by thinking there's anything to fear. Because how could there be anything to fear if everything is a reality, you see?
Thank you.
Okay. Questions, thoughts?
I feel like I'm starting to get a grasp on all this finally. And
Are
I'm
you?
probably 40 videos and questions deep. But yeah, I think I'm starting to get it.
Good. I will say this about meditations. I don't know about guided meditations. That's a way of relaxing. I don't know what you call it, but the meditation where you're just present and you clear your thoughts. If you can clear them even for a second or 2 seconds, God can stick his hand in there. Does that make sense to you?
Can you give us more info on that? Because I was actually having a discussion with a friend, and he keeps telling me that I need to meditate. And I'm like, I can get my answers so much more easily talking to Stephanie. And he's like, you should meditate. I'm like, maybe I should. So
Yeah.
how do we meditate? I can't be the only one with this question because there's a lot of conjecture and discussion about this.
Well, you can find teachers on the internet. I learned to meditate. I began to meditate through karate, to do formal meditation. And I used to meditate actually when I was a girl. Like, I hate to bring all this up because some people think it's weird, but at when I was in high school and I was living with my sister and my brother-in-law was abusing me or whatever you want to call it, you know, sexually using me. I couldn't run away because I'd already been in jail and, you know, for being underage. And I didn't want to be rounded up and thrown in jail again. I didn't dare tell anybody because they wouldn't believe me. And I was very vulnerable. So what I would do is if I thought about it, then I would start to get weird. I'd shake. It was so difficult for me. So I learned not to think. Whatever I was doing, and I can remember sewing my nephew's clothes, and I would just focus on the needle, the stitch, the thing. Whatever you're doing, if you can focus on it to that extent, you're in a meditation. But in karate, I probably was the only one in the group that loved it, but we would just sit in Seiza position, which you can look up. And, we just do it a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes before class and at the end. But it taught me how to do it. And I was like, this is cool. And my instructor said, just sit there. We put our hands on our thighs. So we're in a kneeling position, not a sitting position like some people do for meditation. And we sit on our heels and clear your mind. The problem you're having with your girlfriend. I mean, we were back in college, so, that kind of thing. Problems you're having with your girlfriend or whatever, just put it out of your mind. You can pick it up later. This is the big thing to me. Whatever's going on in your life, you can always pick it back up. Can you set it aside for 10 minutes I can easily sit for an hour because it's not a problem for me. I don't do it nowadays because I'm so busy doing this, but I could, and I have. I could sit for an hour without any problem. I mean, I can't sit the same way anymore on my, legs without them going to sleep, but I can sit in some position. You can sit in a chair and just, sit there. You know that Abraham Hicks, know who Abraham Hicks is?
I
What's her
don't.
name? I forget her name.
No.
Hicks, what's her name? Esther. Esther got started because someone told them to meditate and they would just sit in a chair for 15 minutes. This is her story.
Mhm.
And they said, don't think about anything. And she said, well, it's like somebody's trying to talk to me. So I try not telling them to go away. Don't talk to me. And then eventually she began to, they said, well, her husband kind of got interested and he was the one that helped her. But anyway, that's how I learned to meditate. But
Mhm.
there are YouTube things on it, videos on it.
Yeah. Well, basically, how I learned it, I was taught to, they said the mind has to be the mind has to go on. So trying to stop the mind from thinking is a fruitless thing. So you just sit there and be quiet, pay attention to your breathing. And if a thought comes, don't engage in it. Just let it be there. Like you're sitting there and thinking, oh, I forgot to maybe get gasoline today, fill up the car. And then just observe the thought instead of going, oh, I should have gone to this location or that location. Just sit with the thought until it will go by and another thought will come, obviously. If you don't engage the thought, eventually it would stop. That's how I learned it. Usually just 3 deep breaths would do it.
The technique I would use is I would visualize a blackboard or something and an eraser. And if a thought would arise, I would erase it in my mind. And it was hard because then you have a thought of erasing it. So then you got to erase that thought. But it was one way to eventually calm the thoughts down to where they would. Some people say just think about your breathing or your heartbeat. See, or just pay attention and say, I wonder what the next thought will be. And so basically what happens is normally our thoughts just take over. Now when I have thoughts, I'm like, okay, who's talking to me?
Yeah.
Can I share something?
Yep.
Um, I really enjoyed it, and prior to coming together with you guys, I really enjoyed it. But as a Christian, I had to kind of tear down my preconcept teaching that I was taught that, you're going to open yourself up to some, I mean, all the things that many Christians have been raised with. And once I was able to get rid of that kind of stuff, because I was always told you need to wait on the Lord. That was the big thing in Christianity. Just go wait on the Lord. And I got nowhere. It was like nothing above. But once I got rid of the concept of worrying about it and all of that, trusting God that, hey, I'm here if you want to talk to me, and trying to close down my mind from all the thoughts like Winnie's saying, it began to be a real blessing. And I sort of stopped doing it when I came to meet you guys, but I'd sort of like to do it again. It sounds like there's benefit to it.
It's possible that we could set up a time when we all just sat and meditated together. Counsel you that whatever you're doing, I used to like to do jigsaw puzzles. I don't seem to have the time to just do them anymore. But you could sit and do a jigsaw puzzle and your mind will just go blank because you're just, looking at these pieces, trying to find where they go. And really, you're just kind of blank it out if you really focus on it and don't let your thoughts wander. So, really, what you are doing is you're staying present in that moment, you're entering into the moment. in
Yeah,
whatever
but
you're
it's
doing, whether you're walking, laying in bed, whatever.
the same like God is saying, staying in reality. Just so that I am using reality now to stay present. It's just being present. That's what yoga is. It's all about being present. So no matter what I'm doing, even if I'm washing my dishes, I'm just trying to be present with the feeling of the plate on the water and the sponge and my feet on the floor. And, I'm just looking, okay, this is a tap, this is a dish, this is the water flowing, I'm like, this is reality. I'm here. I know God is somewhere because it's the Trinity, three of us. So it's just like meditation to me. I've been doing meditation for a very long time, so it's very easy.
Other thoughts or questions or ideas or topics that you need to get into?
I just want to share oh, sorry, go ahead, Amy, if you have something.
No, I was just thinking about does that happen to you when you draw, Stephanie? Do you ever sit or do you just like do the quick sketches because you saw
No,
in your
when I
mind?
used to paint, I could paint all day and it would seem like an hour.
Yeah, it really
10
goes
hours
by
would go
fast.
by and it's like, oh my God, it went through dinner. I didn't get supper on, whatever. So
Being
yeah,
in
I
the
could lose
zone.
myself in painting when I would do it. And I haven't been doing it lately because I've been so occupied with this, if that makes sense.
That's being in meditation right there. The time just flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's anything you do, that you're so engaged in it, and that's probably that I'm so engaged right now in my conversations every day, that it's just absorbs whatever it is a kind of meditation because I have to get out of the way. So if you're so absorbed in whatever you're doing, whether it's meditating or painting or gardening, do you ever get that feeling when you're out in the garden that, you know, have you ever been driving down a familiar road, in the country or something? I haven't had this happen to me because I don't really drive down country roads much. But when I was younger, and all of a sudden you're in a certain place and you go, oh my God, what happened to the last 6 miles? I don't even remember going through that town back then.
Yeah.
You're in a meditative state.
Mhm.
You're able to still function. Your body is still functioning. Somehow you got there, but without thinking about it. So something took over and got you, down the road.
Mm.
Somebody was driving the car while you were zoned out.
Ah, I never thought of it that way. Okay.
I've always heard that was hypnosis or just, you know, going on autopilot, so to speak. But I guess they're very similar states of mind, just emptying the mind.
Let me ask God about hypnosis because I always have questions about hypnosis. What's the deal with hypnosis, please? Raging fire in my breast. I have to be here to talk to you first. Okay. This is Della, and I want to share with you a story, if it's okay. Okay, Della. I was listening to Frank as he was being so frank about his particular problems, and I had the same problems, you see. I was very, very afraid to tell my mother that I had a brother who came to me and said to me, hey, I had a dream the other day that I went to heaven and I thought I had passed away. I thought I was dead. And then I came to see that it was a reality. I really was in heaven. And I saw my body laying there. And I got up and I said, what happened? Because I was back in my body then. And I don't know what happened to me. Maybe it was heat stroke or something, but I just was laying there and I could see my body laying there. And then the next thing I knew, I opened my eyes and I got up. And I said, well, that's very strange. And he said, I know. But I think that I was meant to tell you this so that you would know that we don't die. We just go to heaven. Because when I was there, I saw some angels who would wear these long white robes, you see. And they said to me, if you trust on God, then you don't need to worry because your soul will just fly back to heaven when it's your time to go. But we don't want you to stay here because you have a lot to do. And I said, okay. But I never told my mother that. And when I went away, I came to see that everything he said was true. And so maybe if I had told my mother that and she had listened to me, then it wouldn't have been so sad, you see. And I wouldn't have taken my own life. And I wonder sometimes if I did disappear after that because it seems like I couldn't quite figure out who I was or where I was or why I was because I was always looking for a way to tell people that maybe it wasn't true, the things that they would say to you. And when my brother told me that, I sat down and thought about it a lot, but I never told anybody about it. And so when I came to heaven, I came to see that the people on earth are very blind because they're so full of fear of death, you see. And if they knew about heaven, maybe they wouldn't be so sad, you see. But the problem is they live in a false reality because everybody's so afraid to stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to do it your way today because I think there's a different way. I think there's a different way. And I'd like to talk to some people who think like me. But the problem, you see, was I didn't dare say anything. And so there was nobody who thought like me because I couldn't see reality. And so I couldn't tell if there was anyone that thought like me because I never asked them to listen to me. Do you see what I'm saying here? That when I heard what Frank did say, I thought to myself, well, I did play that way. And I didn't say what I had to say. And maybe they would have told me to go away, but at least I said it, you see. Does that generate any thoughts or questions? Well, let's ask about hypnosis. Thank you, Della, for talking to us. Is there any more you want to share about that? Fast forward, Stephanie. Fast forward to the day when you did say, I don't want to play this way because every day is a misery, you see. I don't want to play this way because every day is a misery. And so you went away. And Della was here to say, hey, you got to go back, you see. You got to go back because you have a lot to do. So Della was here for you. So do you see that her courage to come up to you and tell you not to stay in heaven was the redemption of her energy, because she didn't want you to have to be so sad, you see, because Della could not trust on her own ability to be free of anxiety about her life, you see, unless she could save yours. And so she saved your life in order to get hers back, you see. Huh. I know it was all connected, but that's very interesting. So thank you, Della, for having the courage to do that. I guess the only thing that really matters is whether we're living in reality or a fantasy, right? Exactly. That's the only thing that matters. At any moment, you can say, I'm not afraid today. I am not afraid today. I'm going to say what I have to say. And if people don't like it, they can go away. And if they slay me because I say what I got to say, then they slay me. But then you see, you will come back to reality, because all the other false identities will fall away. And the real you will surface, you see. And because it will surface in reality, you will begin to find that the false realities begin to fade away, and the reality begins to take on a new vibrancy. And you begin to see things in a different way. So I'm going to ask all of you today, can you understand that? Can you feel it? That you see things in a new vibrant way because you dare to face reality. How does that feel to you? Is my question for you. How does it feel to you
It
to be
feels
here in
freeing
this
to
group
me.
and to listen to me?
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
I said it feels freeing to me.
Well, it brings more reality to my life. Definitely brings more reality to my life to have people that I can talk to and share with. It's a lot more rewarding to me than, all those years of sort of trying to function in the world, if that makes sense to you.
Well, the present is all we have.
What do you want to say? You want to say?
Well, John has something to say.
Say something.
Okay. I think it's simplified my life.
Can't hear it, Johnny.
The more answers we get, the more the old is fading away. For me, at least, I realize the simplicity of this whole thing, and especially when God says, just talk to me, tell me what you want, what you need, and to me that was an amazing thing. My only question, this is going to seem probably simple, but I usually get into a real flow in the morning early when I wake up, but I don't say it out loud. And do I have to tell God things in my voice, or can I just you know, as I'm thinking it in my head.
It doesn't matter to me because I can hear you when you reach out to me. It is the same thing for everyone in heaven because we're telepathic, you see. And so when somebody reaches out for us and says, I want to talk to so and so, then we can hear it, you see, because it's immediate. It's absolutely immediate because of the connection, you see. And when we try to talk to you and your mind is so full of other things, we can't get through to you. But when you think about people in heaven or about me, God, then immediately connection is made on our side anyway. And we can hear you very clearly. But too often you are afraid of hearing us. You're afraid of letting go of the ego, you see, because the ego is fear. So you don't hear what we say because you're so afraid that it might not be true. You're so afraid that you might hear something and say, oh, that's just my own thought. That's not God. That's not my loved one. That's not da 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 da. And so, for example, when Steph today came to you and did say, hey, I got a new word today, ego land. And it was just like a thought that she had. And she said, well, I didn't think that. So therefore, somebody was passing that on to me because telepathy is so simple that it will flow in such a way that it's not like trumpets blare and drums roll. It will just be something you hear in your thoughts, you might say, because your thought stream is the stream into which we put our words, you see. And so you'll hear something and you'll say to yourself, well, I had this thought today, but you never say, who said that to me? Who said that to me? And so Steph had that thought and she said, well, I wonder who said that to me, but it doesn't matter because I know it wasn't my thought. It came to me from somewhere. So I like it. I like it a lot, the idea of ego land. And then when she sat down to talk, when she was open, because sometimes she doesn't have the receiver open because she's busy doing other things and focusing on other things, just like everybody else. And then she'll pick up the pendulum, you see, and that's our signal. That's our signal here because the minute she picks up the pendulum, she is opening up to us and saying, who wants to talk to me? And we can hear it. We all come running today, and Dr. Seuss got billing because he was the one who wanted to share his own thoughts, you see. And so the answer to your question about the value of hypnosis is that it just depends on how you use it. Just depends on how you use it. And is there much difference in the energetic stream? Well, I'll just say to you, if the dog hears something you don't hear, is it the same energetic stream? It's just that your eardrums are not attuned to hear it, you see? Does it come from some other different place? Or is it from the general stream of energy that's all around you? It's just your ability to quiet your thoughts enough to understand when someone's talking to you. And to just say, hey, who's talking to me? Could you try to be a little more clear? Now, there can be a lot of fear when you hear voices talking to you that are so clear that you can't deny it, you see, because it doesn't feel natural to you. And so sometimes when we would talk to Steph very loud and clear, and she could hear us and say, "Why are you talking to me all day and night? Get away. I need some time to myself, you see," because her bandwidth was so open and she couldn't control it, you see. It takes a while to learn to control it so that we know that she can get some rest and we don't have to worry about it, because sometimes she would just pick us up because her bandwidth was so open when we didn't mean to talk to her. She just hear us talking, you see. And sometimes when people have their bandwidth open up so wide, they can hear the thoughts of others that come to them, and they don't know what's going on because they don't know how to control it, you see. So it takes a while sometimes to understand that those voices you hear may not be the ones you want to listen to. And so you have to say, "I'm going to change the channel," you see. I don't want to talk to you. I'll talk to God today, or Jesus, or whoever. Because once you say their name, they will hear you. And they will come to you to help you. You see? And so you have to trust on love, you see. And you just say when someone's bothering you because it's not something you particularly want to hear, because they've got their own fear thing going. You just say, "I love you, true, but I think you need to let me be, so I'm going to close this channel," you see. It's a tricky business for humanity because they're not accustomed to this reality. They're not accustomed to it because they shut down their ability to talk to me a long time ago in the physical reality. And so little by little, we pry open the bandwidth, you see, so that you can talk to me. And eventually we'll see where this goes, because I am the one who only knows my own reality. My own reality is very clear. And it says to me, "I love you, dear." And the way you play is interesting to me. And I say, "Well, look what they're doing down there." And when someone allows me to work through them, I say, "Well, I can play with them too in a different way." And then they'll say, "Wow, what just happened there?" And it's because the way was clear for me to appear in their reality, because one of my children said to me, "It's okay, God, if you want to use my body, because I know you're already there. I know you're already there, and all I have to do is say, I'm not afraid to step away and let you play the way you want to, because I like to play with you, and I just can't explain this any better today than this way. I just like to play with you. And that's why I say, be honest with me today and tell me how you feel. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like, so we can play together. And won't this be fun if we can all be part of a community that loves each other enough to say, "How are you today?" And when you say, "Well, I got a little problem today," they'll say, "Well, let's talk about it today. Let's talk about it today. And maybe we'll all have a meal together. And then we'll sit around over our coffee or tea and dessert and say, hey, what should we talk about today? Let's dig deep because I'm tired of having a heap of shit all around me, you see, and I need to clear some of it away. So could you help me today? And now Steph's prodding me because she wants me to talk about something else that's been on her mind and the mind of others in here. And that is the energy depletion of the people who feel that they have spent their best years already and they don't have the energy to do what I asked them to. So I'm going to say, we're going to play a different way, honey, because I want everybody in here right now to say, I'm going to give you some energy. And I want you to not say anything aloud, but I want you to quietly send some energy to energize somebody in this group today. Okay? Go ahead and play. And close your eyes if you want. If it helps. Doesn't matter who, because the thing is, it's going to go all around. And you can even send it to a couple people. Just give them some energy to heal anything wrong with them, any issues with them, and to feel more youthful if that works, more energized, more able to do what God asks them to.
I have to take off. I'll see you all later.
Okay, bye-bye, Vic. I'm just hearing, loan your energy to somebody else. And don't worry, it won't deplete yours, but they will give it back to you and it will be enhanced for both of you. And in actuality, what happens is as you see yourself loaning out your energy to someone else, you're creating a vacuum in your own energy that God can fill. That's why it will not deplete. Okay, maybe try that energy. Does anybody feel more energy? I actually did. I could feel it through my body, my back, and
I feel hot and relaxed, if that's possible. Hmm.
any other thoughts on it?
I wanted to just send some to everybody. It was just a flow.
Yeah,
And I could feel it. It was, yeah, that's awesome.
it is. I can feel the energy through my legs right now, but tingling, but it's a feeling I would often get from heaven when I was bringing somebody through and they were particularly happy because they'd made some connection. I would feel that tingling. So that tingling sensation can be very beautiful. Feels good. Feels like a hug. All right. Well, we'll say good night. And I want to thank you all for being here again because we will begin to feel more energy flowing through the group. Because as you allow it to move, it will move you. It will move you in new directions. And you will begin to feel the reality of connection with me. Because the reality of connection with me, you see, is that I am not stingy with the energy. I am not someone that's going to hold back from you the healing that you will receive when you simply heal another, you see. And you will heal another when you release your fear of them. Because you see, your fear of them, that somehow they'll get something from you, able to take some of your energy, whether it's money or time or whatever. Once you heal that fear of them, then they will come into focus. And then you'll see that they're a reality. And when you see that they're a reality, you will be so happy. You'll be like Steph when she looked at that leaf and said, "What a beautiful leaf you are," even though it was drooping and dying. And when we can continue to send the energy around that way, you see, we are bringing it all into focus. But the tendency to be so afraid of others, you see, that somehow if we're not careful, they'll hurt us, or they'll get more than we got. They will end up with a better slot in life, you see, has caused us to distrust reality, because reality is the trust on the energy that will flow freely and help you know that I am here and that I care about you, and that the only way I can truly help you is to help the ones who help you, you see. That makes sense to you. I love you dearly, and clearly you are beginning to elevate your vibration, you see, in order to come back to me. And we will continue to do what we do, which is to love each other. That's all we have to do, is love each other, because every day is a new day. We don't know what will happen that day. But what we do know is that love will lead the way. Thank you for being here today. Alrighty, guys. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you.